When should you sell your underutilized or unutilized aesthetic medical equipment? What are the different ways you can sell your equipment? Can you do this on your own? If so, how? How can your listing get direct exposure to thousands of aesthetic medical professionals? And how much is this going to cost you? My name is Tony Valdivieso. I am the founder and CEO of US Equipment Depot. And today we're going to talk a little bit about how to transfer your hard asset in the world of aesthetic medical equipment and transfer hands from your practice to either us as a brokerage or to other end users as potential future buyers. Now, before we continue, I just wanted to make clear that we typically like to purchase equipment that is free and clear of any debt. So if you still have some sort of finance interest or another obligation to the people who you financed from, there's different programs that'll assist you and that won't be covered in this video. But once you've made the decision to sell your equipment, the best thing that you can do for you and your practice and for your bottom line is to sell the equipment as soon as possible. The reason being is because underutilized or unused aesthetic medical equipment takes up valuable space. It depreciates over time, especially within the first 1 to 3 years of ownership, and it can result in future maintenance problems if it goes unused. I'll give you an example. If you have a carbon dioxide laser, if you don't fire pulses on that laser every couple weeks, every couple months, some of the components inside of that laser can develop algae, and then you have to spend a little bit of money to get that recovered and fixed. So it's always better to sell the equipment earlier rather than later in the ownership cycle. Reason being is because younger lasers can get you more dollars, so it's a better idea to sell sooner versus later. Now, what are some of the reasons that you would sell? Why would you currently sell this equipment? So in many cases, if you're in a growth cycle of your business, you may want to use those dollars that are tied up in that laser and free up those dollars so that you can reinvest those in areas that can improve the bottom line for your practice. Some people can choose to sell the equipment if they're retiring, or in some instances, especially post-coronavirus, we're seeing some closures of businesses, and if you're liquidating assets in that for those reasons, this is probably a good reason to consider selling as well. Another reason would be if you've had no use or limited use on it for the last 6 to 12 months, because in many instances, this equipment will break if it's not used. And last but not least, if you have no desire, capacity, time, or even dollars to invest in capturing new business. Now think back to when you first purchased the equipment. You were excited about it. You put up posters, handed out brochures, had videos playing in your lobby, in your waiting room, and then you would capture all the business from your current patients. And once you've used all of your current clients once you've tapped into your current client database, then you reached out to the peer group of your clients and treated all of their friends and family. And after a while, things got a little bit of quiet, and then you started to realize that you've got to invest time and dollars into marketing the equipment. And once you've marketed the equipment and you've bought your patients or clients in for services, now you actually have to talk them into and sell them into what the reasons may be that they would want to have certain procedures. So it's not as easy to kind of keep things going as they once were in the beginning, when things were all new and exciting and you had fresh hunting ground for business to capture. Now, how can we help you sell? So everyone's pipe dream is to sell their equipment from you directly to a broker. Another option is for you to sell your equipment to a peer by tapping into either your own peer group or into the peer group of the brokerage channels, or to tap into the entire vast network of people using search engine optimization. And another, probably the most popular way that sales are actually done is through consignment. So whenever you transfer an asset from one company or one entity to another, all the risk of owning that asset is transferred to the buyer, and that includes depreciation, loss of value, maintenance, things of that nature. So we're going to cover all three of these: selling directly to a broker, selling to a peer through your own network or through ours, or consigning from you to us. So selling to a broker, everyone's dream. You assume that there's an abundance of brokers who are just ready to buy equipment at a moment's notice. So this is a good way. This is true to some extent, where you can offload your equipment fast. You sell us your equipment and we give you dollars. Now, the reason why this may not necessarily be the best for you is because brokers typically are in business to make a profit. And when brokers buy equipment from practices, we usually have to factor in 1 to 2 years worth of depreciation, because we have no idea how long the equipment is going to be sitting on our shelf. And when it does sit on our shelf, we have no idea what type of maintenance issues are involved. Oftentimes, you can fire pulses on this equipment and not realize that there's an issue until you fired 500 pulses. And you usually don't see that in test runs. And once we resell the equipment, we have to give a warranty on it. So we also have to make sure that for some expected period of time, the equipment is not going to break, so we protect ourselves and we protect our future buyers. In addition, we also have to factor in a profit in there. So we also have to leave enough cushion for 1 to 2 years of sitting on our shelf, 1 to 2 significant maintenance operating expenses, and then also we have to factor in a reasonable profit for us. So typically what we do in this situation is we like to buy equipment from our customers under market value. So we purchase wholesale, we purchase below market value, and then we sell retail, we sell at market value. So that makes our job a little bit easier, and unfortunately that some of those expenses and some of those costs are borne by the seller of the equipment because you're selling below market value to a broker. Typically, brokers only take in name brand products that are expected to have low maintenance issues. And pretty much most of the equipment, or a lot of the equipment that you guys see listed on our featured equipment tab, is going to be listed by the broker. Now, there's also options for you as a seller to list equipment on our featured equipment page. And what that does is it creates a marketplace for sellers to sell to other buyers within our inner circles. And we're going to talk a little bit about that as well. So how do you sell your own equipment on our featured equipment site and through our network? So you essentially can become your own sales professional by tapping into that network base. The buyers that are visiting those sites are touched through digital campaigns, through different types of marketing outlets. And they know that you're motivated because it costs dollars on the front end to list your equipment with professional green screen pictures, with brochures created. And even if you choose, you can create your own sales video where you're selling your own equipment on there. And if you're choosing not to do that, we can also create a sales video for you. And each of those options have additional expense, but it's very reasonable expense, very low expense. And this is able to capture you some of that margin that you would otherwise lose in selling to a broker. So there is a sense of security when buyers purchase directly from original owners. And the reason that is if there's any sort of disposables that come along with operating the equipment, you can actually load up on those disposables and include those as part of the sale, or add an upcharge for including those disposables directly to the buyer of your equipment. In addition, if there's any maintenance issues that can come up with it, with the sale of the equipment, it's always better to handle those from the original owner of the equipment directly with the manufacturer. And then you can actually give that vote of confidence to your potential future buyer of knowing that the equipment has recently been serviced and inspected and repaired directly from the manufacturer. And then if brokerage channels are removed, that margin, that profit that's created by not paying a broker to actually work your sale and you're actually just tapping into their network, that margin is kept by the seller. So that's a nice little way of you to be able to make a little bit more of a revenue profit with that. Sellers will work directly with buyers. So in this instance, you can control your own negotiations, your own terms, your own pricing. If you choose to have some sort of rental program or some sort of buyback program within the first 2 to 3 months, if you choose to say, hey, look, if it doesn't work out, we'll buy it back for X amount of dollars, which also gives you a little bit of profit on your side, but also allows them to have an exit clause. All of these are negotiable when you manage the sale of your own equipment. And then what's also important to note is that sales are not guaranteed. So different products have different sort of market demand. So if your equipment does not sell within a shorter term of either 12 months or until sold, we will not relist your equipment unless you subscribe again to and pay the relisting fee. But the benefit is you keep the entire sales collateral on your own. So you're able to actually keep that collateral and use that to sell within your own peer group if you so choose. Now, for consigned product, this is probably the most popular and what's often done the most. So it's essentially the crock pot or mosh pit of aesthetic equipment sales. This is neutral for the buyer. So it's good to neutral for the buyer because they get good equipment at good prices. And to them, this consignment may be somewhat invisible. It's best for the broker because they have the lowest equipment sales price in comparison to what it could be if they bought directly from you, but there's no risk for the broker. Essentially, you just tell us that the equipment is out there, and there could be 10 potential sellers of the equipment you're selling. So if you're selling a CoolSculpt, for example, there could be 10, 20, 30 people selling for a CoolSculpt. And what we do is we actually look at each piece of equipment and we say, okay, what is the best product at the lowest price? And we start from the bottom and we offer low prices, and we buy the equipment that doesn't sit on our shelves, and we buy them at the point where we already have an interested buyer who wants to purchase the equipment. So there's many sellers in this pool. There's no personal contact info of yours, so sellers don't know that you're actually selling it or reaching out. There's no way to reach out to you. There's no videos, there's no green screen, high resolution pictures, nothing like that. It's very highly competitive. And you also have a slow sales process because you're kind of in the mix with a few other potential sellers. So yeah, those are the best ways of doing this. In summary, you can either sell directly to a broker for a very quick but low profit sale. You can sell to an end user by tapping into our network of potential buyers, as well as using our algorithms on Google for search engine optimization. And you can also consign your equipment. Just let us know that you have the equipment, and once a potential buyer comes to us asking the equipment, we will come to you and also other people that are also selling that equipment, and we will try to bargain and negotiate for the lowest sales price so that we can capture the most profit. If you have any questions, feel free to shoot us an email or give us a call. My name is Tony Valdivieso, and I look forward to hearing from you. Thank you so much.